hope it's working. Yes, it works. Okay. So chapter 5 is talking about make or buy, insourcing and outsourcing. Key questions to be asked in this chapter are, should we make or buy for a good or service? And the next question, if we have been making a good or service, should we reverse the decision and outsource? So far we were making it. No, let's say after a while, after 2 years, 3 years, should we change our decision and outsource it, or no, we are fine? And the next one, if we have been buying, should we reverse our decision? So we were relying on outsourcing. Should we change our decision after 2 or 3 years or not? These are the very important questions that each company in a supply chain should ask themselves. One of the most critical decisions in any organization. Okay, most critical decisions. There are so much debates on this, and it's a life matter. You are not going to say, I solved the problem. No, still, you need to revise your decisions on long term. So a make decision, what does make means? What does making inside your company mean? Means the organization will produce the product or provide the service internally, and buy decision means that the goods or services will be produced from a supplier. So make or buy means making inside your company or making outside your company, buying from outside sources. What really matters here is in long term, either of these decisions, which is make or buy, should contribute to building and maintaining a resilient supply chain. Okay, it means that a supply chain that is resilient to changes, resilient to uncertainties, a supply chain that is able to accommodate different challenges that could happen in future. Okay. Traditionally, when we look at the history, many companies would like to make the products inside their companies. Yeah, this was something that could happen many years. This is not even we. If we have money, we would like to, to buy more companies personally or buy more stuff. However, if you review their history, you would see that there are so many backward integrations. So what does backward integration means? It means that I am a car manufacturing company. I see that there is a supplier who are making engines very well or tires very well, whatever. So you would say, I have money. I would like to buy this company so that is a part of my company. That is called backward integration. So this backward integration means a company is buying another company, which is its supplier. Okay, so this was the trend. However, after 1990s, that the supply chain concept was introduced to the world and to the business, many companies decided to favor buying option or buying decision to making decision. And the companies thought that if they get thinner and less invest in other companies and just focus on the important aspects of their own business, they will be more successful. And the result is flexibility and focus on corporate strengths. Okay, so if you are a car manufacturing company, why should you care about tires? There are so many other companies that can make a high quality tires for you. You should think about something that really matters for you. For example, design of a car, design of a service. Okay, so those are the things that makes you distinguished with other companies. So that's the result of and the benefit of buying decision. Another thing is closeness to customer. You can focus on something that matters for you. You can spend more time on customers instead of making the products inside your company. You can work on improving your productivity and reinforce competitiveness. You have more time if you release yourself from making, you have more time to focus on your rivals and competitors. So you can make some real nice changes to your company. So these are some benefits of buying decision. Okay, this figure looks a little bit messy, but it really summarizes all different options that you have. Okay, so starting from top, uh, by reviewing different business opportunities and strategic entrepreneurial options that you have, you may come up with what products or services to create in what market segments. Okay, that's why, for example, uh, some manufacturing companies or some supply chains may think that it's better that we make this product for this market and another product in another market. So they may come up with a decision that which services or product to be made in different markets. Okay, what's the next stage? After they made a decision that which product is better to be assigned to different markets, this is the time to make a decision that which parts should be made internally and which parts should be outsourced. And the reason for that is reviewing strategic factors and operational level decisions. Okay, what would be the output of that decision? As the output of either making or buying, you may go with 100% making or 100% buying. Okay. However, there is a possibility that you end up with something in the middle. Okay, which means 50% buying, 50% outsourcing, or 20% of your products are made and 75% are bought, outsourced, something like that. This is called gray zone. So gray zone means something between 100% buy or 100% make. Okay, so you're done with your decision. Let's say it's 2021. You have made your decision to either making, buying, or something in the middle. Now we are in 2023 or another year, something like that. Or maybe, unfortunately, another pandemic hits us in 2022. I mean, maybe less than 1 year. So this later means anytime in future. So as a result of those changes in future, you may come up with these issues. You may stay with the same policy, which is 100% make, or you may decide to change. What would be the change decision to make? Any idea?
Mr. Afshari.
100%,
Yes, please.
100% buy, 100% buy.
That's right. Any changes? Yes. Yes, please go ahead if you have a question.
Yeah, I was actually thinking. So when you invest in these companies such as Hyundai or Toyota, they bring spares from different parts of the world. Like Bosch manufactures brakes in Germany, but if there is an issue with their production, then the stock market completely drops for these manufacturers, and they can do it in order to protect themselves.
Yeah. So what is your question exactly? My apologies.
No, you were asking me what was the reason to make, so I was just
Oh,
saying
yeah. Yeah, that's right.
to.
That's right. That's right. Okay. So let's say after a few years, you notice that you need to change your decision. So this change will end up to outsourcing because so far we're making everything inside your home, inside your company. That's why we call it in-house. In-house means making inside your company. So as a result of outsource, you may go to a very extreme thing, which is 100% buy, because you used to do 100% make. Or you may decide to go with gray zone. Gray zone means 20% buy and 75% make. So you will start a little bit switching to the other one. The same for the other one. So I don't want to open it up more. The videos are available for more details, but the idea is the same. So over years, you may make decision to um, to change your policy. Okay, gray zone is a very interesting area here. I want to open up discussion later. Okay, these two slides are very, very important. Okay, slide 7 and 8. Reasons to make instead of buy. Why you may decide to make something inside your companies. Some reasons are listed. Again, please watch the videos. There are detailed discussion about that. Just a few of them. Quantities are too small or no suppliers is interested. Okay, if I'm just making 10 of these products, no supplier is ready to change their manufacturing processes to just make a customized product for me. Okay, and if they want to do that, it will be very costly. Okay, that's why, because the quantities are too small or no suppliers is interested, I will decide to make it inside my company. Quantity requirements are too exacting or special processing methods needed. Okay, I am using a very complex design, so no manufacturer is able to make it. So that's why I'm going to make it inside. Greater assurance of supply. This part that I am making is a very risky part. It means that if somebody delay it for any reason, my entire manufacturing process will stop. Okay, that's why I decide to make it inside to ensure I won't face any lack of supply. Preserve technological secrets and intellectual property. Okay, so I have designed this product so that if I share the drawing or details of that to a supplier, the secrets of my company will be revealed to others. So that's why I try to make it inside. And so many other reasons I don't want to open up here. These are the reasons that you make inside. As you can see, there are very strong reasons that you make it inside your company. The same, there are a set of strong reasons to buy something outside your company. What are those justifications? Lack of managerial or technical experience. I really don't know how to make it. Somebody has designed it. Maybe my engineering team has designed something awesome, but I don't have enough expertise inside my company to do that. So that's why I am going to outsource it. Excess production capacity. I really don't have excess production capacity. Okay, I am full. All of my machineries are busy making other stuff, so I cannot make it. Okay, so that's why I have to outsource it. Reduce the risk. Okay, there is a risk of dealing with, raw material and scheduling of the processes and so many other things. I am busy with other stuff. I want to just get rid of them and reduce the risk. Challenges of maintaining technological leadership for non-core activities. Okay, so if you are a car manufacturer and you know that your rivals are designing new products every day, and the innovation and the main area of competition is the body of the car, technologies inside, efficiencies and fuel efficiencies of engine, and so many other things. Why should I think about how to make bolts and nuts in a car? It really uh, doesn't create any value for me. I should spend my time for something more valuable. That's why um, I don't like to spend time to see what is the newest technology in nuts and bolts. Okay, so somebody else can think about that. I can just think about something more important, and so many other reasons. Please read all of them carefully. So again, strong reasons exist for buying option. Okay, if you remember, I was talking about gray zone in make or buy, which means that this is an area between 100% make or 100% buy. So this is useful for testing and learning without having to make the full commitment to either of these two options. What does it mean? It means that, if you go fully with making, it's a little bit risky. If you go fully with buying, that is also a little bit risky. However, if I use a mix of these two options, I will be able to test them and notice which one is a better option for me at the current circumstances. That is called gray zone. So gray zone is something really useful because you have the opportunity of testing both of these options and see that for you, your company, and your current situation, which option is the best. Okay, any questions so far? No question? So which option is better, buying or making?
Mix.
For the initial purpose, mix gray zone would be the best idea.
It depends on the nature of products.
Okay. So again, the best answer is we have to review our circumstances. We have to review in which market we are. Okay. Sometimes even a company makes something and in other markets buy it. Okay. So it really depends on the product, on the environment, and the situation that you are in. Both of options are good, but we have to see which one works better for you. Okay, so we are talking about making or buying. When it comes to buying, okay, you also have another option which is called subcontracting. What does subcontracting mean? Any idea?
Yeah, sir, in this we given some part of our work to the other manufacturer, just like it's a subcontract with the major contract.
That's right. So the idea here is that, when you have a very complex project or product, um, you may decide to divide it to some smaller pieces, some smaller parts, some smaller sections, and then again hire a new set of suppliers to do the rest of that. For example, this is pretty common in construction. There is no company that can make roofs, walls, plumbing, electricity, everything together by themselves. So a company is called builder, and that builder hires different expertise in different parts of, a construction or building, and that is called subcontracting. The same for military or for space activities. So in military, for example, something that is revealed to all of us, for example, for F-35, many companies and many countries are working together to make such product. Okay, because maybe a company in Italy is better for um, some part of that. A company in the US is better for another part of that. So this way, each of these companies are willing to work on a part of that and prepare a better result at the end. Okay, so when subcontracting is useful, this is appropriate when placing order for work that is difficult to define. Okay, so they need to identify the problem. So a company that is hired for subcontracting is also responsible to first investigate what is the problem, what should I do. For example, If I am trying to repair a very large power plant and I win the, let's say, the deal, I win the auction and I won um, repairing and maintaining this big power plant. After a while, I noticed there is a problem in power generation as a part of that large power plant. Okay, what should I do? So I may hire another company. I may hire Hitachi. I may hire Bosch. I may hire Siemens, any famous electrical companies to first come and have a look. Where is the source of problem? Okay. I really don't know what is the problem. These are something that I may need subcontracting. The other area is will take a long period of time in order to do it by myself. So there is another company. Let's say I want to move the items from Sydney to, let's say, to Europe. I can go with contracting a ship, and then I need to hire a transportation company with trucks to take them to the ship, and then from ship I have to hire some people to work on a vessel like a large cargo vessel, and then I need to insure the people, so insurance is required, and then after I get there I need to hire a place to empty them, and then I need to uh, contract a, let's say, a warehouse to empty their stuff. So you would see it takes a long time, but I can just contact a transportation company. They can do everything for me, and I don't need to spend time on that. The next one is will be extremely costly. Yes, I can design F-35 by myself, but it may take a long time to finish all the parts at the same quality level of dividing it to some smaller pieces and working with many manufacturers. Okay, insourcing and outsourcing. Uh, so somebody may ask, so what is the difference between make, okay, and buy, okay, with insourcing and outsourcing? Can somebody explain? Do you have any idea? What is the difference between make and insource? And at the same time with buy and outsource?
Insourcing means some other within the company, some other department is responsible to make that product, and from that department, the other department will get the some part of it, right?
Thank you. Any other comments?
Sir, in outsourcing, we also give directions related to the product manufacturing and all the activities related to it. And just from buying, it may be a direct product which is already available in the market. We buy that one.
Okay. Any other comments?
Sir, outsourcing may be defined as a customized product which a company needs. Like a car manufacturer, it needs a tire of specific radius, specific diameter. So it's something outsourcing. And buys completely buying a product that doesn't need any customization.
Okay, thank you. So if I want to answer this question, the answer actually is very easy. So let me use another color or pen. So when we are talking about make or buy, this is when we just start our business. Okay, so I want to establish a new business in appliance industry. So the first decision that I am making, it could be either make, okay, or it could be buy. Okay. Over the time, let's say after 2 years, 3 years, I may change my decision. If I change my decision and decide to go back to make, okay, this time I'm not going to call it make decision. I'm going to call it insourcing. Okay. So when you reverse your decision from buying over the time, This is called insourcing. The same for the make. So let's say I started my business with making everything inside my company and in-house. Over the time, I decide to make and reverse my decision. Instead of saying I am changing from make to buy, I will say I am changing my decision from make to outsourcing. Okay, so that's the only difference. So this is over the time, this is initially. Okay, so this is a continuous question you should ask yourself. So two ongoing questions for a cross-functional team. So you need a cross-functional team consisting of supply office, operations, accounting, and marketing. So at least these four groups should exist in this cross-functional team. You should continuously ask yourself which parts I can still make inside, which parts I should outsource. Okay, and vice versa, which parts I can still buy or I should reverse it to insourcing. These are two continuous questions. There are two reasons to insource. So insource means that I reverse my decision from
Buy to make.
Buy.
buy
Buy to make.
from buy. So when I reverse my decision from buy, I may go with insourcing. So what are the reasons for insourcing? There are two main category of reasons. Number one, I have to. Okay, we would prefer not to produce these products or service in-house, but we really don't have any other option. Do you have any example for this category? Any idea?
So companies that make spares that are unique, that cannot be manufactured by a third-party company, just so that they want all their products to be under the ecosystem. So they have to make it because they have no other go.
That's right. That's a good example. There is a company that the technology is just with them. They do not share the technology with any other companies. So that's why um, you cannot do that. Any other idea?
But it
What
can be in
if,
case of Apple. In
okay,
Apple, sir, like Apple can easily manufacture chips from third party, but it will not do because it will create, or it will, the technology will be easily available to other competitors.
okay, so they are changing their design of the product so that they don't like to reveal it to third parties. So that's why they are
Yes,
making
sir.
inside. Good. There are a list of reasons. I will review in next slide. But so the first group of reasons that we decide to reverse our decision to insource is we have to. We don't have any other option. And the second group is we prefer to do it in-house because it gives us a strategic competitive advantage. Okay. So the second one is based on not pressure. Okay. This is just based on um, or a study that is better that we reverse our decision. The first one is we don't have any other option. So example of necessity drivers of insourcing, anything that threatens assurance of supply. Okay, anything that suppliers cannot play with you anymore. Like what? An existing source of supply goes out of business or drops a product or service line and no other supplier is available. So there is a product that they used to make for you outside your company, but they have decided to stop their production line. So what should you do? There is no other supplier. So you should make it inside. Or no opportunities for supplier development. I cannot search or pay money to other companies so that they start making this product. A sudden massive increase in price. So the price of raw material by suppliers has been significantly increased. Okay, so it doesn't make sense to buy any more from them. So that's why I decide to make it inside my company. Or so many other reasons. And reasons to outsource are exactly the same. Sometimes I have to, I don't have any other option. Okay, I don't have any other options. And the second reason is that I have performed a strategic assessment of different options, and I noticed if I outsource it, it gives me a strategic competitive advantage. Okay. For example, there are some car manufacturers that why I am bringing so much examples of car manufacturers, because they are one of the best supply chains. You exactly see what does supplier mean, what does manufacturer mean, what does warehouse, retailer, and customer mean in that. So that's a very nice example. So uh, there are some car manufacturers that they notice customers are happier if you use some brands of players like Sony in their car. Okay, so that's why they decided to outsource their systems to, let's say, speakers and everything to Sony company. That is an outsourcing. They notice it gives them a strategic competitive advantages compared to the other suppliers. Okay. And also for the design, there are some Italian companies that design the products for many car manufacturers in the world. Okay, so if you give the design of your next product to those Italian companies, you will have some strategic competitive advantage over your rivals. Okay, deciding what might be outsourced. Here we need to divide our products into strategic, critical, and non-core activities. Okay, and based on the items that you will have in each of these three categories, you will make a decision about which product should to be in-sourced and which product to be outsourced. So what's your idea? Which items should be outsourced?
The products sir, which have a certain technological advantage or which company cannot share with other it should be oh no sir.
In-sourced.
Those
In-source.
should be in-sourced,
So it is
right?
in-source or outsourced?
Product which are non-core activities should be outsourced, so
Outsourced.
that will save your time and money.
Yes,
That's
which
right.
are not of certain advantage that should be outsourced.
That's right. So most of the activities that are strategic or critical for you, so you prefer to mostly, I don't say this is not a rule, but mostly you prefer to keep them inside your company. And the items, products, sub-assemblies, um, or material or services that are non-core activities, you prefer to outsource them. Okay, so you will have more time to focus on them, on something that really matters most for you. So the entire function or some elements of an activity may lend themselves to lower cost purchase and management by a third party. Okay, so even you don't need to outsource. There is something strategic. Okay, there's something very important, but you can divide it to some smaller pieces and still you can do some outsourcing with them. Okay, because somebody can do it in higher quality, cheaper price, and faster. So why should you do that? Okay, so it's not necessary that you do outsourcing for the entire product. You can break it down to smaller pieces, sub-assemblies, and components, and still do outsourcing. So you need to identify a function as a potential outsourcing target, break that function into its components, determine which activities are strategic or critical. So those activities should remain in-house, which means I'm going to make them. and which activities can be outsourced. Okay, now I want to open a new concept uh, in the outsourcing world, which we call it service triads. So increasing prevalence of service outsourcing based upon triadic servicing arrangement. Okay. So what's the idea here? We know that outsourcing is growing, and as outsourcing is growing, you would see that new concepts are employed by many companies. One of those concepts is service triads. Service triads means that instead of giving service directly to your customers by yourself, you can hire a third party. That third party is responsible to give services to your customer. Example, definitely you know many of them: help desk services or customer services, um, customer surveys, repair and installation to customers. So these are something that, for example, you contact Bell or Eastlink. So instead of Eastlink or Bell to contact you and come for installation of internet, they have hired another local company. They will come and install internet for you or repair anything that you have. So these are called service triads. Increasing use of performance-based contracts has made the service triads very interesting. Okay, so if a local company that is hired based on a performance-based contract receives many complaints from customers, so you can easily switch them. You can easily end your contract and hire another local company. Okay, so because this is pretty common, you would see that service triads are giving quality services to customers. Okay, so what's happening in a service triad? Customer feels need something, they will let you know. Okay, after you receive such information, you will hire or inform your supplier. Okay, supplier will be in contact with customer and they will give services to them. If customer is happy or needs interaction with supplier, they will do. And finally, you will receive the report from supplier if customer is happy or the problem has been resolved. This is the way that uh, a service triad works. And do you have some examples of service triads in your mind?
Yes, sir. In nowadays, Apple has given the third-party companies for the repair and service of their iPhones.
Okay, good. Any other examples?
Call centers.
Call centers, that's a good example. For example, you have a problem with DHL or FedEx, okay, or any company. You call the number and you see that somebody with Asian accent is answering you. And you notice that they have totally outsourced their customer service activities to an Asian country, okay? So that is a kind of service triad. Any other example?
Sir, like in construction business, a lot of companies outsource problems related to the heating and temperature to the third parties.
Yeah, that could also happen. That's right. So that's a little bit trickier yet because you know those services there are for sure maintenance and service, but they could also be considered as a physical item. So we should be careful. But that's right. Yes, those service triads in construction is also available. Perfect. So risk of outsourcing. So far, we just talk about benefits of outsourcing. There are for sure some risks as well. So the first one is loss of control. When you make something inside, you may assign more resources to expedite the process, okay? Or you may hire more people to do a job faster. For example, you have received a new orders, you can easily manage it. But when something is outsourced, you don't have such control. You cannot hire more people. You cannot assign more people or more resources, more raw material in order to make more products. So that's why the control over the process will be missed or lost. Okay, exposure to supplier risk. So there are so many risks that could come to suppliers as well as yourself. For example, your supplier may end up to bankrupts, or they may have quality challenges. They may have, you know, problem with hiring expertise in their companies. For example, they are living in an area, their company is in an area that there is not enough expert people living there. So they have some serious challenges. So when you outsource something to those companies, you're increasing your risk. What is the next challenge? Unexpected or unanticipated cost. Yes. For example, one of the machineries could get broken and they may decide to go with a new machineries. So as a result of that, they need to charge more in order to compensate their cost, something like that. Or maybe municipalities are charging them more. They need to compensate over the cost. Difficulties quantifying economies of scale for sure. So maybe they are not working in full capacity and you cannot push them because that's their decision. As a result of that, you may have limited items to be supplied or some challenges like that. Conversion costs, supply restricts, attention required by senior management, and so many other things. So there are a set of challenges. Please, again, watch the videos to learn more about each items. Um, and here, implication for supply. Supply and logistic management may be involved in make, buy, in-source, outsource decisions in two ways. So if you're working in supply and logistic office, you may get involved in these decisions in two ways. Number one, some of a part of supply and logistic functions may be targeted to outsourcing. Like what? Like warehousing operation. So it could happen that your company decides that the transportation and warehousing services to be outsourced. So it means that they are going to take a part of your office, a part of what you used to do, and they say it's better that we outsource these activities. It could be much cheaper if we do that. And it could be any reason behind that. So that's one of the reasons that supply and logistic office could be involved. The second way that logistic and procurement office could get involved is when we want to make a decision. So supply and logistic may be a part of an internal team of decision related to making, buying, insourcing, and outsourcing decision. So if you remember, in our company, we may create some cross-functional teams, okay? When we come to cross-functional teams, supply and logistic office or procurement office, or there's so many different names, they can be a part of that cross-functional team in order to make a decision related to each of these four decisions. Okay, so these are two different ways that procurement could be involved in outsourcing decisions. And when it comes to outsourcing a part of supply and logistic activities, procurement of indirect or non-core spend is more likely to be outsourced. Yes, we already reviewed this. Something that is not core for your companies, that has a more probability to be outsourced. For example, Food services is mostly a non-core activity for many companies. Security, okay? Security services. This is something that can be outsourced. Accounting. Many companies can hire another company to do accounting for them. IT services. So these are some reasons, some areas that can be outsourced. And you would see that how many steps we have in procurement process? Do you remember from last session?
4.
9 steps.
8 to 9.
9 steps. So step number 1 was
Determine the need.
need identification.
Need
That's right. Identification. And then step number 2 is
Description of
Goal
need.
setting.
need a specification or description. Okay, need description. And step number 3 is
Selecting suppliers.
that's step number 4, selecting suppliers. Step number 3,
Identifying the suppliers like
finding suppliers. That's right. So we call it sourcing, finding suppliers. Step number 5,
Get quotations.
Purchasing products.
purchasing. So you already signed the contract. So you manage, so you order, you manage the products to be received. Step number 6.
follow-ups.
So receiving and inspection. So inspection, and receiving the products. Step number 7. We just learned about it, 2-3 days ago on Friday.
Payment and invoices.
Inspection of goods.
Okay, just look at them. I know that you are really confused at the moment. You should tell them as fast as possible. It should stick to your mind. As I told you, you're going to be hired by these skills. You need to memorize them. Anyway, so
The renew of contracts.
yeah, it comes up to step number 9. So all you see, they can be divided into some smaller pieces. So here we call it, so anything before step number 5, there is no contract between you and the supplier. From step 5 to step 9, they can be divided to some smaller pieces that we call them. So procure to pay are the activities from step number 5 to step number 8. Okay, procure to pay. So these are something P to P. So sometimes you outsource these activities. Sometimes you outsource activities that are from source to contract. So from sourcing to contract. So these activities. From sourcing to contract. So step 3 and 4, sometimes you outsource these activities of your procurement office. And sometimes you totally outsource from sourcing to pay. Sourcing means the step number 3, correct? From step number 3 to step number 8. So you outsource all of them, and this is called sourcing to pay. So sourcing to pay includes both sourcing to contract and procure to pay. So sometimes you outsource the entire process. Sometimes you outsource a smaller portion, which we already learned about that. Okay. The process from procure to pay. Are they mostly strategic or they are mostly operational? I'm talking about this area, procure to pay.
Strategy.
They are
Strategy.
mostly operational. Like you have signed the contract, you are waiting for the items to be received, you inspect them, you check them, you send them to warehouse, you sign the receipt of them, you send to accounting for pay. So is it strategic or it's operational?
Operational.
This is operational,
Operational.
definitely operational. But when you're searching for new supplier, okay, you're searching for new suppliers and you go to new markets, you investigate different options. This is something strategic.
Strategy.
It's gonna impact your entire company over the long term, for sure more than 1 year. Okay, so this is strategic, this is operational, and the entire process is also a mix of strategic and operational. Most frequent outsourced logistic activities are transactional, like accounting, operational, and repetitive activities. So if you have some activities like this in your supply and logistic process, you may easily outsource them. Like what? Like transportation. Transportation is the easiest thing that you can outsource. What are the other ones? Warehousing. You can easily hire a company to manage your warehouse. You don't need to do that by yourself. And freight forwarding, managing the flow of material. So it's something that you can easily do by hiring another company. You don't need to do it by yourself. So, and there are 3 reasons that you can outsource logistic activities. Number 1, improve services. There are some companies that have a very good expertise in doing that. You can reduce the cost, you can increase ability uh, to focus on your core competencies. So we in procurement and supply office can sometimes be targeted to be outsourced. Okay, so some parts of our company, some parts of our processes, maybe some, maybe all of that could be outsourced. Sometimes we could be a part of a larger decision, so we can be a part of cross-functional team to make a decision which parts of production can be outsourced, which part of marketing can be outsourced, which part of design can be outsourced. So that's all about this part. Okay, any questions so far?
So, what is the difference between subcontracting and outsourcing?
So that's the question we already answered, and again that's listed at the end of this presentation again to answer it. But anybody wants to answer?
When we are already buying any product then and start manufacturing is shown that's coming back from buy to insourcing. And similarly, sir, when we are already selling, taking that product from outsourcing, it's a vice versa from earlier.
Yeah, but the question is that it looks that subcontracting is a kind of outsourcing. So what is the difference between subcontracting and outsourcing?
Subcontracting is that we are splitting the main contract amongst 2 3 uh, contractors, right? As in, you give example for constructing a house, right? So we are giving contract to the plumber for the plumbing, for the drainage system, and kind of. While outsourcing is that we are outsourcing a complete product from one party or one manufacturer.
Okay, thank you. So first of all, subcontracting definitely is a kind of outsourcing. We cannot say what's the difference between outsourcing and subcontracting. We can say that what is the difference between regular outsourcing and subcontracting. Okay, That's a better question to be asked. Second question is that subcontracting is normally used for products or services with certain specifications. Number one, the product is very complex. Number two, the problem is not clear. Okay. And these are the reasons that you may do outsourcing, you may do subcontracting. And subcontracting, again, makes the process very complicated, however, brings so much values to your company. Okay, so that's the main difference between outsourcing for regular products and outsourcing for subcontracting. Any other questions?
Sir, which department takes all the decisions related to make, buy, or all these specifically for department wise if we consider?
Okay, so this is something that is normally, first of all, the idea comes from cross-functional teams, that what should be done as the first step, and then it goes to top managers. Normally, top managers make decision specifically when it comes to making the organization a little bit more agile and reducing some services that they normally do in their company. For example, if they want to totally outsource their activities in transportation and they want to hire a company to do transportation services. So in this case, this is done normally by top manager. This is not something that a cross-functional team could end up to do that. If there are some decisions like we want to revise a certain properties of our product so that customers gets happier, so that is something that cross-functional teams normally make decision. Okay, so purchasing's role in outsourcing. So how can our department, the purchasing role, or department, which is procurement and purchasing department, play a role in outsourcing? The strategic importance of make, buy, insource, and outsource decisions is very high. Okay, they are very important. Why they are considered strategic? Any idea? Why outsourcing, insourcing, making, or buying? They are strategic.
Because the cost is involved in that.
Because of the cost. That's right. And the domain, the amounts that the company will be impacted. So our company, first of all, impacts in terms of cost, and second, in terms of period of time. It may impact or 2 years, 3 years by making that decision. Let's say I want to outsource one of my services to another company. Can I cancel it tomorrow? What do you think?
No.
No, it's very
No, sir.
costly. There are some clauses in contracts that they would say if you cancel your contract with us as a company, you have to pay a certain amount of penalty for us or something like that. So you need to continue, otherwise the cost of canceling is huge. So in terms of time, you need to go with the wrong decision for a long time. So that's why they are considered strategic decisions. So management must ensure that decisions are done right with such strategic decisions. So how can procurement and purchasing department help? Number one, provide a comprehensive and competitive process. We in purchasing and procurement office normally do these decisions every day. Okay, so we can provide such knowledge and experience to top managers in order to make decisions. So that's the first contribution that we can have. Number two, identify opportunities for outsourcing. We already know all possible suppliers, all manufacturers, all suppliers of raw material, all transportation companies. That's our job. So because of that, we can identify potential opportunities. If we are looking for a transportation company that they do it in a fast fashion, so we can bring some companies. If or company is looking for a transportation company that provides quality services. For example, they have limited uh, limited broken products when they are transporting the products. So we can propose those companies. Number 3, aid in selection of sources. Okay, so we know what are the criteria to evaluate suppliers. Yeah, because we know how to select suppliers, we can use those um, expertise in order to select the best suppliers. And so many other things like identifying potential relationship issues. We know how to manage contracts. We know how to develop and negotiate contracts. And also we know how to monitor and manage relationships. These are our expertise. So we can help top managers in order to decide about outsourcing. Okay, that's all for today. We can answer a few of these questions and see what is the best answer. But before answering this question, do you have any questions? No question. Okay. Number 1.
No, sir.
Thank you. Why make or buy decisions are considered strategic? I think we already answered that. Yeah. Because of they are costly or the time that they impact our companies are more than just 1 year. Okay. Any other reasons why they are strategic? Because reversing them could be very costly. Yeah. Any comment?
Because it's a
And also we have
long-term decision as well.
Could you please repeat? Yeah.
I'm saying it's a long-term decision as well, right? Because
Exactly. Any other comments? I guess it
create
also yeah, go ahead, please.
create a competitive advantage.
It creates competitive advantage. That's right. So if you do a good job with outsourcing or making, it really creates competitive advantage. What about image? Does it impact the image of your company?
Sir, it can depend upon the performance of the third party.
Exactly. Let's say people believe that Sony players or Sony systems are very good for, let's say, enjoying, or the speakers, the quality of sound and everything. So if you install them in your car, does it impact the image of your company?
yeah, surely it will have a
Definitely.
positive effect.
Exactly. Let's say I am a car manufacturer and decide to use iPads in my car, for example. And for example, people love iPads. Does it impact the image of my company?
Yes.
Yes, definitely it impacts. Okay. So customers, stakeholders, period of time, cost of that. So these are all reasons that make or buy decisions are strategic. Number 2, what is subcontracting? How does subcontracting differs from a typical purchasing order? We already answered that, yeah. Anybody wants to summarize it?
Sir, I have one question. Like in subcontracting, we give a part of our orders to somebody who can make for us. But in typical purchase, the main difference between both is that it is a bulk order and other is not a bulk order.
A kinda. So you don't need to hire a second company or a set of
Okay.
second tier companies in order to manage your product, and your product is not a sophisticated product or sophisticated service or project. So that's the main
Okay.
difference. Yeah,
That is in case of typical purchase. It is not a sophisticated product.
exactly. For regular purchasing order, so you have a very regular product.
ठीक. Okay. Sir.
Right. Number 3, if you were the sole owner of your own company, would you favor making or buying, and why?
So it can depend upon circumstances like what products I need, how much time I have, what is the cost factor, and other strategic factors.
Okay. Any other comments?
And it also
Yeah,
matter
that's
that
true.
if
There
we
are
are
many
starting
factors
the
which
optimization, then buying is a better
It
option.
can also
That
depend upon the scale of business. Like if it is small, it can be managed by himself, or for the if it's large organization, he might need help of other departments too.
Mm-hmm. Thank you. So all of your answers are correct. Thank you. So it really depends on the situation, on the environment, on the size of our business. Um, and if you remember, do you remember the very strange shape that we started reviewing? Gray zone and 100% make, 100% a buy. So above that, there were some environmental analysis, like our competitors and the environment that we are living, the business opportunities, the markets, the products that we are making. So all of them are contributing to our decision to either making or buying. The last question, what is a service triad? What unique challenges does a service triad presents for supply? Especially the second
So it,
part.
so it can be defined as the company which gives third party a license to give a service, help desk executive services and other help services. And the unique challenges which service trade can present, like for instance, in case of Apple, if a third party is providing a help services and if the customer is not happy with their services, then it can definitely hamper the overall prospects or the image of the company.
That's right. Any other comments?
The main challenge is related to the quality and benchmarking.
Like what? Can you open it up a little bit?
I suppose, sir, if we are giving our work to a third party, that company or individual may not be able to perform as much as equal that our company is doing.
Mhm. So the issue is that in regular benchmarking, companies are working for you and you are facing with customers, correct? But in service triads, you are sending another company that plays between you and customer. So customer really don't see you. Customer see the service triad companies, third party companies. So the quality of services presented by those companies, you don't have any other chance to change it or revise it or inspect it. Okay, so the service happens, and after service happens, you have the chance of seeing what has been done. While you manufacturing, um, outsourcing, um, you still see a part of the product to be managed by yourself. So a part of a car is made, you can still check it, you can still inspect it before delivery to customers. Yeah, but in service triad, because customers are cooperating with service triads to deliver the services, there is no opportunity to control it. So you should be very careful in hiring appropriate service triads. That's the unique challenges of service triads. Okay, thank you very much, everyone. I think we had a good discussion here. Any questions?
Thank you, sir.
My pleasure.